became poorer and poorer. We didn't have any clothes, we didn't have any food, we didn't have anything. And that was the existence that we faced from the day they came in till the day they left in May of 1945.
Can you tell me about the clothes, the shape that the clothes had turned into, and the shoes, how you made it last for 5 years?
There was no cloth to be had because they didn't have the raw material. I mean, you need cotton to make cloth. And since they had taken all the sheep and the cows and the horses out of the country, we didn't have anything to replace it with. So, if you had a pair of shoes, eventually the bottom of it wore off, even no matter what the leather was. Eventually it wore out, and you didn't have but the upper part. So you take a piece of cardboard and cut it in the size of the shoe sole and slip it in there and walk on that, hoping that it won't get wet in transit and disintegrate, which it of course it did. And the material that went into the making of clothes, I'm honest with you, I haven't the faintest idea what it was. There were all kinds of jokes going around. They said that the material was made out of vegetable fiber, and that if you walked in the rain, it would sprout little leaves. Of course, that was real fun. It didn't protect us from the cold. Anyhow, did you have any questions on that?
We have some questions already put in, so we can maybe come to those at the end. So, we learned that about the ghettos all throughout Europe, where Jewish people were gathered and put into these confined spaces to live, maybe several acres. Belgium didn't have ghettos, did it?
No, we didn't have any ghettos. We had a concentration camp, though. They took one corner of the country closest to the Dutch border and fenced it in and made a concentration camp. And I don't know, they were select about the occupants of the concentration camp. Most of them were university professors. I know that my physics professor went through it and never came back. And the concentration camp consisted of going from corner northeast to corner southwest, carrying a big piece of rock and depositing it in that corner, and then turning around and picking up another block and taking it back where the first one came from. And then they did from morning till night until they went crazy and died. And many of them did. It's hard to visualize and to believe something like that one human being can do that to another human being and not feel anything. But somehow they didn't care, I guess. And then our life was very quiet, very, very, very quiet. We didn't go anywhere, we didn't do anything, we made as few waves as possible. But the Germans still nosed out Jews. They could pick them out in any kind of surroundings. And I had an encounter with one day, one morning, it must have been about 10 o'clock in the morning. And my father and my brother, which was our whole family, it was just the four of us. My father and my mother and my brother had gone out, I don't know where, probably to a store to get something. And all of a sudden there was a big banging on the front door, which was a very large, elegant door. And I went to the window and there was a van standing outside along the sidewalk across the street from me. And the German soldiers, well, they were military police actually, were pouring out of that, and some civilian Germans with them, and they were going from door to door, banging and making a lot of noise, looking for Jews. Well, eventually they came to my house, bang, bang on the door, and ripped the door open, and the little German fellow, the civilian, came racing through the house, one story up, the other steps down, screaming, "Jews, we are looking for Jews, you're hiding Jews. You better not be hiding any Jews." And he ran from one room to the other looking everywhere, for supposedly for Jews. But one military policeman did not budge. He stood next to me. I had noticed him, but all of a sudden, looking up, there was this policeman standing next to me. And we don't have people this size around here. I haven't seen any. But this young man was blonde, blonde, blonde. He was a handsome, handsome young man. Blue eyes, most blue eyes. And he was standing there and smiling. Not saying anything, smiling. I didn't know what to do, so I just stood there. And he smiled some more, and then he said, "Show me your ID." And of course, when he said that, I knew that my last hour had come. I mean, he had found me, and I'd be put on that van and transported to a concentration camp in Germany, which would be the end of me. And I reached for my ID, which happened to be on the mantle by the fireplace, and I picked it up and I handed it to him. I kept on smiling. And he opened the card, and I died 1,000 deaths. And he opened the card, and he looked at it, and of course there was a big red band across the paper, and the word Jew on top. And I said, "Well, let's see what he does." Well, you won't believe it, but he looked at me and he smiled some more. He folded the card and handed it to me and said, "Thank you," and left. I have never been able to understand how that happened, because, I mean, a blind man could have seen that card and seen the markings on it. But this young man just smiled and returned the card to me and left. And I escaped death that way for the first time.